In sooth, behold the curious creature known as Anya Kronos, a scientist most singular, who doth declare with utmost conviction that the cinematic spectacle titled Back to the Future is naught but a documentary of divine truth. With a mind brimming with bizarre beliefs and a penchant for paradoxical plots, she hath resolved to embark upon an extraordinary expedition through the very fabric of time itself. Thus, armed with arcane apparatus and an insatiable thirst for knowledge, she doth prepare to traverse the temporal tapestry to the year of our Lord 500 before Christ. Lo, as she doth activate her whimsical contraption, a veritable cacophony of clinking cogs and whirring wheels, she finds herself whisked away from her modern abode into a realm where toga-clad titans and philosophizing fools frolic in fervent folly. The air is thick with the scent of olive oil and hubris, whilst the sun doth shine as if Apollo himself hath taken a fancy to this peculiar place. What ho, quoth Anya, I shall teach these ancient denizens the truths of science they know not. Upon her arrival in this antiquated arena, Anya encounters Socrates, that sage of sagacity whose dialectic discourse doth twist minds like pretzels at a fair. Pray tell, he queries with an eyebrow arched higher than Olympus itself, what dost thou bring from thine own time? With a smirk that could rival Hermes' mischief, she retorts, a plethora of perplexities and paradoxes. Forsooth, I come bearing tidings of time travel and technological triumphs. Yet lo, the philosophers are not easily swayed by such fanciful fables. They gather round her like moths to a flame, each one more skeptical than the last. Plato proclaims with pompous pride, Thou art but a charlatan, what proof hast thou that thine tales are true? To which Anya replies with exaggerated exasperation, Proof? Why dost thou require proof when sarcasm suffices? Surely thou must see that truth is but an illusion wrapped in riddles. As she spins tales of flying machines and electric chariots powered by sorcery known as batteries, the crowd's incredulity grows thicker than Athenian fog. Yet amidst their laughter lies an undercurrent of curiosity, for even in their absurdity these ancients possess an inkling that perhaps there exists more beyond their marble columns and dusty scrolls. Anya seizes this moment to impart wisdom cloaked in whimsy. Dear friends, truth is oftentimes stranger than fiction, let us embrace both. With each passing hour, nay, minute, the absurdity escalates as Anya conjures forth magical demonstrations, potions bubbling over like Dionysian revelries and illusions that would make even Circe envious. She teaches them about gravity whilst floating above their heads like some celestial being sent from realms unknown. The philosophers gasp in awe, their minds twist and turn like vines around ancient ruins. Verily, Socrates muses aloud as he scratches his beard in contemplation akin to scratching parchment for wisdom lost. Could it be that we have been ensnared by our own ignorance? And thus begins a delightful dance between skepticism and enlightenment, a waltz where every step leads them closer to understanding that truth may indeed wear many masks. As twilight descends upon this enchanted gathering, Anya bids farewell to her newfound companions, her heart swelling with joy at having sown seeds of knowledge amidst their fertile minds. She departs not merely as a traveler through time but as a harbinger of enlightenment wrapped in layers of ludicrous laughter. Thus concludes our tale, a tapestry woven from threads both absurd and arcane, wherein one woman dared to teach truth amidst the tumultuous tides of time. And though she may return to her own era laden with lessons learned from those who once stood on the precipice of philosophy's greatest questions, she knows well that every journey through history is but another chapter in humanity's ever-unfolding story. In the quaint confines of a Grecian agora, where the air was thick with the scent of olives and the whispers of wisdom, there appeared a curious creature named Anya. With a flourish most flamboyant, she didst tumble into the midst of Socrates' latest oration, a TED talk as it were, though in truth it bore no resemblance to such modern marvels. Lo, quoth she, I bring tidings from yon future, a realm where Wi-Fi doth flow like ambrosia through the ether. The crowd gasped, their minds aflutter like moths drawn to a flickering flame. Socrates, that venerable sage with a beard as wild as a tempestuous sea, paused mid-sentence. What manner of sorcery is this? He mused aloud, scratching his chin in contemplation. Could it be that this Wi-Fi is naught but an ephemeral figment, a mere state of mind? His brow furrowed in philosophical perplexity as he pondered the implications of such an assertion. Was connectivity merely a construct woven by the threads of human imagination? Anya, with her eyes twinkling like stars caught in a net of night's embrace, replied with a smirk most sardonic. Indeed, dost thou not see, in this age yet to come, men shall prattle on about signals and routers, whilst all along they are but puppets dancing upon strings spun from their own delusions. The audience erupted in laughter. Absurdity reigned supreme, as they envisioned routers sprouting wings and flitting about like butterflies. Pray tell, interjected one eager philosopher with an alliterative tongue tied tighter than a sailor's knot. What arcane artifacts dost thou possess that reveal such truths? Anya waved her hands dramatically as if conjuring forth visions from some enchanted realm. Behold, the magical device known as smartphone. A tiny oracle that does hold within its glassy grasp the sum total of human folly and wisdom alike. She brandished her own device aloft like Excalibur drawn from its stony sheath. Socrates chuckled softly, his laughter echoing through the marble columns. Ah, but what is wisdom if not knowing how little we truly know? Dost thou suggest that our connection to one another is merely an illusion crafted by these devices? He leaned closer, his eyes glinting with mischief. Perchance we are all but marionettes in this grand theater called life. With a flourish worthy of Shakespeare himself, Anya retorted, "Nay, we are not mere marionettes, we are jesters in this cosmic court, each tweet and post a jest at our own expense." The crowd roared anew at her wit. Absurdity had become their shared language. They envisioned themselves juggling smartphones while riding unicycles made of existential dread. As Socrates stroked his beard thoughtfully, an act both profound and preposterous, he mused on the nature of truth itself. "If Wi-Fi be but a state of mind," he proclaimed with exaggerated gravitas, "then what sayest thou to those who dwell in ignorance? Are they not deprived of connection even more so than those without signal?" His words hung heavy in the air like clouds pregnant with rain. Anya grinned mischievously. She could sense the gears turning within Socrates' mind, a veritable clockwork contraption whirring away at questions both timeless and trivial. "Ah, but dear Socrates," she countered playfully, "is ignorance not bliss? Forsooth, wouldst thou rather dwell in darkness than grapple with truths too tangled for mortal minds?" Her sarcasm dripped like honey from her lips. The philosophers around them nodded sagely, or perhaps foolishly, as they contemplated this conundrum wrapped in riddles. What was truth if not malleable clay shaped by hands unseen? And thus did they embark upon an absurdist journey through thought, a merry band traversing realms where logic took flight on gossamer wings. In that moment beneath the Grecian sun, where time itself seemed to warp and weave, the lesson emerged clear. Truth may indeed be elusive, yet it is through our shared absurdities that we find connection amidst chaos. And so Anya left them pondering deeply whether Wi-Fi was truly just a state of mind or simply another jest played by fate upon humanity's stage. In the midst of a most peculiar panorama, where the sun doth shine with an absurdity befitting a jester's cap, our heroine Anya, bedecked in her time-traveling attire, didst alight upon the bustling boulevards of Rome. Herein lay the grand spectacle of chariots careening and cavorting, their wheels whirling like dervishes possessed by Bacchus himself. "Lo," quoth Anya, "I shall elucidate upon the marvels of GPS, global positioning sorcery." Yet alas, the Romans were too enraptured by their newfound pastime, chariot drifting, a sport that combines speed with a dash of delightful danger. With a flourish and a flick of her wrist, Anya conjured forth a shimmering map that twinkled like stars in the midnight sky. "Hark, good citizens of Rome, this enchanted parchment reveals paths aplenty." But lo, the denizens, clad in togas and tunics, merely guffawed as they beheld their beloved charioteers executing perilous pirouettes upon the cobblestones. "What need have we for sorcery when we possess such splendid spectacles?" they bellowed in unison, their voices echoing through the forum like thunderous applause. "Verily," Anya retorted with a smirk that could curdle milk, "thou art but mere mortals blinded by thy own bravado. Dost thou not yearn for knowledge beyond thy reckless revelry?" Yet her words fell upon ears as deaf as a stone statue in the temple of Jupiter. The Romans continued their raucous revelry, oblivious to the wisdom she sought to impart. "Chariot drifting is but folly," she exclaimed. "What if thou shouldst drift into destiny's dark embrace?" As she pondered this predicament, Anya spied an ancient scroll fluttering about like a wayward butterfly. With an incantation whispered under her breath, a tongue-twisting spell that would make even Merlin blush, the scroll unfurled to reveal arcane truths about navigation and direction. "Behold!" she cried triumphantly. "The Appian Way, an illustrious invention that shall lead thee straight to glory or perhaps just to your next debacle." "Appian Way? Pish-posh," scoffed one particularly pompous patrician who fancied himself quite the expert on all matters vehicular. "We need no such road when we have our trusty steeds and reckless abandon." He gestured grandly towards his chariot adorned with gilded laurels and sparkling gemstones, an ostentatious display fit for Caesar himself. Anya rolled her eyes so dramatically that they nearly spun out of her head. "O ye of little foresight, dost thou not see? This roundabout shall save thee from endless circles of confusion, a veritable vortex of virtue amidst thy chaotic cavalcade." But again her pleas were met with laughter, a cacophony akin to geese honking at dawn. In an act both desperate and daring, Anya summoned forth a spectral figure clad in shimmering armor, the ghostly visage of an ancient Roman engineer named Vitruvius Maximus. With a voice like rolling thunder, he proclaimed, "Listen well, for I speak truth wrapped in riddles. A roundabout shall grant thee passage without peril. It is but a circle leading to enlightenment." The crowd gasped collectively as if struck by Cupid's arrow dipped in honeyed sarcasm. They began to murmur amongst themselves. Could it be true? Could this magical contraption spare them from their own hubris? Yet still they clung to their chariots as if they were life rafts adrift on an ocean of absurdity. "Alas," sighed Anya with exaggerated exasperation, "it appears I am but a lone voice amidst this raucous rabble." She waved her hands dramatically as if conducting an orchestra composed entirely of cats yowling at midnight. "Mayhap I shall leave thee to your fates, drifting through life like leaves caught in autumn's breeze." And thus did Anya take flight once more into the ether, a whimsical wanderer seeking truth among those too enamored by folly to heed its call. As she vanished into the annals of time, echoes of laughter mingled with whispers of wisdom, a reminder that sometimes teaching truth requires more than mere words. It demands patience amidst pandemonium. In a most peculiar predicament, young Anya, with her time device twirling and twisting in a tumultuous tempest of temporal turmoil, found herself flung forth into a frolicsome festival of folly, a toga party most extravagant. Lo and behold, amidst the revelry, stood none other than Cleopatra, bedecked in her diaphanous drapery, her brow adorned with serpentine jewels that sparkled like the stars of yore. "What manner of madness is this?" quoth Anya, as she beheld the bewildered queen whose countenance bore the weight of both wisdom and woe. "Ah, thou art a curious creature from a far-flung future!" Cleopatra exclaimed, her voice laced with both intrigue and incredulity. "Pray tell, dost thou possess knowledge of tomes that could tickle my intellect? For I find myself ensnared in a world where Caesar hath proposed a book club, a gathering of minds to delve into the depths of literature whilst sipping ambrosia." The absurdity of it all struck Anya like a bolt from Jupiter himself. Who would have thought that the mighty Julius Caesar sought solace in sonnets rather than swordplay? As the toga-clad throng twirled about them in an ecstatic dance reminiscent of Bacchus's own Bacchanalia, Anya pondered upon the peculiarities of this historical hijinks. "Verily," she mused aloud, "what tomes dost thou seek? Dost thou yearn for tales of treachery or perhaps parables profound?" Cleopatra's eyes sparkled with mischief as she replied, "Nay, I desire discourse on delightful dramas and drollery, works that weave truth through tapestry so intricate it befuddles even the wisest sage." With a flourish befitting an enchantress, Anya conjured forth scrolls from her satchel, volumes filled with whimsical wit and arcane anecdotes. "Herein lies the tragedy of errors, penned by yon bard from Avon," she declared dramatically. "A tale where mistaken identities abound like rabbits in springtime." The queen clapped her hands in delight whilst Caesar approached with an air most pompous. "Mistress Anya," he boomed, his voice echoing through the marble halls like thunder on a summer's eve, "what sorcery dost thou wield to summon such splendid scrolls?" "Merely magic born from curiosity," quipped Anya with a smirk that could rival Mercury himself. "For what is truth, if not but an illusion wrapped in layers of literary lore?" The assembly erupted into laughter as Cleopatra raised her goblet high. "Let us toast to truth then, a toast to tomes that teach us tidings both trivial and transcendent." And thus they drank deeply from their chalices filled with nectarous delights. Yet amidst their merriment arose a conundrum most curious. How might one discern truth when cloaked in layers of absurdity? As they debated fervently over which tome should commence their literary journey, be it Homer's epic or Ovid's Metamorphoses, Anya interjected with sagacity beyond her years. "Perchance we ought to embrace absurdity itself, for within its chaotic confines lies the essence of enlightenment." With each word spoken, magical sparks danced around them like fireflies caught in twilight's embrace. The toga party transformed into an ethereal symposium where laughter mingled with wisdom, a veritable feast for both mind and spirit. As they delved deeper into discussions on philosophy and poetry alike, even Caesar found himself enchanted by notions far removed from conquest. "Indeed," he mused thoughtfully while stroking his laurel crown as if it were some ancient oracle whispering secrets long forgotten. "Perhaps our greatest victories lie not upon battlefields but within pages turned and truths learned." Cleopatra nodded sagely. Together they forged an alliance not merely for power but for enlightenment, a union destined to transcend time itself. Thus did Anya realize that though she had stumbled upon this whimsical gathering by chance, or perhaps by fate's fickle finger, the true magic lay not within her time device, nor even within history's grand tapestry, but rather within the hearts, eager to learn and share truths anew. And so they danced beneath starlit skies until dawn broke upon their revelry, a testament to teaching truth through laughter and literature. In a quaint corner of the cosmos where the sun doth rise and set upon the olive-laden hills of Greece, there resided a sage named Anya, whose wisdom was as deep as the ocean's abyss, and as perplexing as a riddle wrapped in an enigma. With a flourish of her wand, she summoned forth the spirits of commerce and folly alike, declaring to the gathered Greeks, "Hark! Invest ye in olive oil futures! Forsooth, this liquid gold shall flow like nectar from Olympus itself!" The crowd gasped, their brows furrowed in confusion, for they knew not whether to heed her counsel or to question her sanity. "Olive oil!" cried one bewildered Athenian. "What sorcery is this? Dost thou mean to suggest we trade in viscous vegetation?" Anya merely smirked, her eyes twinkling with mischief. "Indeed, for within that golden elixir lies not only sustenance, but also the secret to eternal youth, if thou canst avoid the rancid residue that oft accompanies it." The assembly erupted into laughter, their mirth echoing through the marble columns like a chorus of caffeinated crickets. Meanwhile, across the Tiber's gentle flow, Roman citizens lounged about in their toga-clad splendor. Anya's gaze shifted towards them with an air of whimsical authority. "O ye denizens of Rome, why dost thou squander thy days in idle revelry? I beseech thee to embark upon a venture most audacious, a reality television franchise, Survivor Coliseum Edition." The Romans blinked in disbelief. Surely this was but a jest spun from the threads of madness. "Reality TV?" scoffed a burly centurion with biceps like boulders. "What manner of tomfoolery is this? Dost thou propose we pit gladiators against one another whilst cameras capture their every grimace?" Anya nodded vigorously, her hair swirling about her head like a tempestuous storm. "Aye, let them battle for glory and snacks aplenty. The audience shall feast upon popcorn whilst they witness valor and villainy unfold." As if conjured by some unseen hand, visions of gladiators grappling with ferocious beasts danced before their eyes, each clash punctuated by dramatic music and commercial breaks, hawking dubious potions for baldness and bad breath. Verily, Anya continued with exaggerated flair, the truth shall be revealed through trials most absurd. For what better way to teach humanity than through spectacle and schadenfreude? The crowd roared with laughter once more. Even the stoic senators could not suppress their chuckles at such ludicrous propositions. Yet beneath their jocular exteriors lay an inkling of truth, a glimmering shard amidst the absurdity. Perhaps there was wisdom hidden within folly. Perhaps entertainment could indeed unveil deeper truths about human nature. Consider this, Anya proclaimed dramatically as she waved her wand again, this time summoning forth an ethereal scroll inscribed with arcane facts about olives and entertainment alike. Olives have been cultivated since antiquity. They are symbols of peace and prosperity. And reality television? It reflects our innermost desires for drama whilst teaching us that life is but a stage, albeit one fraught with perilous pitfalls. With each twist of her tongue and flourish of her hands, Anya wove together strands of knowledge both ancient and modern, a tapestry rich with humor yet steeped in sagacity. Her words danced through the air like fireflies on a summer eve, illuminating minds while tickling fancies. Thus did Anya impart her peculiar teachings unto those gathered, an odd amalgamation of olive oil investments and gladiatorial games transformed into lessons on truth wrapped in layers of absurdity. And so they departed from that enchanted gathering forever changed, for who could resist pondering life's great mysteries when presented alongside such delightful nonsense? In sooth, dear reader, prithee lend thine ear to the whimsical wanderings of one Anya, a most peculiar purveyor of paradoxes and preposterous pranks. With a flick of her enchanted wrist and a wink that could wither wizards, she doth leap through the labyrinthine layers of time. Verily, her escapades in epics yore hath rendered ancient civilizations not merely sagacious, but also sassy, nay, downright cheeky. Forsooth, who knew that the Egyptians could be so snarky whilst constructing their pyramids? Lo, as Anya flitted forth from the sands of Egypt to the cobbled streets of medieval merriment, she found herself amidst knights clad in armor as shiny as a new penny. "Hark," quoth she with a smirk most mischievous. "Dost thou not know that chivalry is but a fancy word for I shall rescue thee if thou art pretty enough?" The knights, perplexed by her audacity yet charmed by her candor, scratched their helms and pondered if perhaps they had been misled by their own gallant guile. Yet hark! The Middle Ages were not solely shrouded in shadows and sickness, nay, there existed a veritable cornucopia of curious characters. Anya encountered scholars scribbling scrolls with ink made from dragon's tears, or so they claimed, whilst jesters juggled jugs filled with jelly beans, a most absurd confection indeed. "What sorcery is this?" Anya exclaimed. "Thou hast turned jest into art." And thus did she teach them that truth can oft be found in folly. With each twist of her time-twisting talisman, Anya unveiled arcane facts that tickled the intellect and teased the tongue. "Didst thou know," she proclaimed with glee, "that in yon days of yore, cats were revered as deities? Aye, they were worshipped more than some lords." The townsfolk gasped in disbelief. How could such furry fiends be more esteemed than noblemen? Yet Anya's antics revealed an undeniable truth. Wisdom often lies where one least expects it. As she cavorted through castles and courtyards alike, Anya's sarcasm dripped like honey from her lips. "O dear knights," she chortled, "dost thou truly believe thy quests are noble? Methinks thou art merely seeking glory whilst avoiding thy chores." The knights chuckled heartily at this revelation. Perhaps slaying dragons was indeed preferable to scrubbing floors. In her quest for truth amidst tomfoolery, our heroine stumbled upon an alchemist whose potions bubbled with bizarre brilliance. "Pray tell," said Anya with an arched brow, "what dost thou concoct?" The alchemist replied with grandiosity befitting a bard, "A potion to turn lead into gold." To which Anya retorted slyly, "Ah, yes, but can it transform thine ego into humility?" The alchemist fell silent. His pride had been punctured by her playful provocation. As twilight descended upon the medieval realm like a velvet curtain drawn across the stage of life, Anya gathered all manner of misfits, knights and jesters alike, to impart wisdom wrapped in whimsy. She declared boldly, "Let us embrace our follies, for therein lies enlightenment. For what is truth but a tapestry woven from threads both bright and bizarre?" And thus did laughter echo through the halls as they pondered this profound proclamation. But lo, just when one might think this tale hath reached its conclusion, a twist awaited. For time is but a fickle friend, it doth bend and break at whimsy's will. With another flicker of magic from her fingertips, Anya prepared to leap once more into the unknown depths of history. What marvels awaited her beyond the horizon? Would she encounter wizards or witches, or perhaps even more sassy scholars? Thus ends this chapter on Anya's audacious adventures, but fret not, for every end begets another beginning, every tale spins anew like a merry-go-round at dusk. So stay thine curiosity, for next we shall venture forth into realms uncharted. The Renaissance beckons with its brushstrokes and banter aplenty. The end, or is it?